Always remember there was nothing worth sharing like the love that let us share our name. Always remember
So we are
there was
black and tan.
nothing worth
Black and
sharing
tan.
like
0.0075% faster. This is a podcast in which, what?
So Black and Tan, it's kind of like it's a biking lifestyle podcast, I guess is what we would call it. Because I mean, we'll do everything from just guys, the guys here in the shop, all hanging out, talking about riding, and all the way up to interviews with hopefully some pros and some local guys that are making noise in our area. If someone stands out and we can get them on here, we're going to try to get them on for sure.
True.
So today's episode is about Dr. Paul Livelli. A lot of people know him as Paul. A lot of people don't know him from his professional side as Dr. Paul, who is like I put up a poll earlier this week that said, what do you think Paul does for a living? I said there were three things: professional racer, bicycle racer, high school math teacher, and
That one dug at the heart.
but it wasn't a dig.
It wasn't that far.
It wasn't a dig though. It wasn't a dig. It was more in the lines of when Paul goes out and he steps out, he looks like that cool high school teacher. Like, he's wearing his Nikes, his SB Nikes, a nice flannel shirt. He looks the part for sure. And when I said that he looked like a high school math teacher, I was saying it in a positive, not in a negative to dig at him or anything like that. I think he kind of took it a little bit on the other side.
But you say your favorite teacher was your high school math teacher.
High school science teacher.
Oh,
Yeah.
It wasn't the math teacher.
It wasn't the math
You
teacher.
didn't call me the science teacher.
No, I didn't cook because my high school science teacher wasn't real. And the only reason why I
You didn't wear
said
the SPs.
yeah, no, and the only reason why I said my high school science teacher was my favorite teacher was because she let me get away with a lot of stuff that probably would have got me kicked out of school. I was in the back of the class igniting the Bunsen burners, making them pop with butane, doing things I probably shouldn't be doing in the middle of class. So, I can't call my math. She let me get away with a lot of things. My absolute favorite teacher was Miss Wills, who was the gym teacher, and again loved the Ruckers, as that she called us, and let us get away with murder in high school.
But because I did not have an Adidas tracksuit, you didn't want to say
Yeah, you would have had to rock an Adidas tracksuit in order for me to be like, yeah, that's the look, Paul.
So I'm your high school math teacher.
So you're my high school. You look like a high school math teacher. You dialed it. The look was perfect. So there were three things: professional cyclist, high school math teacher, and what was the third?
Behavioral psychologist.
He's actually a behavioral psychologist. I know a lot, and a lot of people are like, well, is he a tattoo artist? Could be.
Could be. I do have a tattoo. 2 of them.
He has a tattoo. What are your tattoos?
So I don't know if you can we see that? Let's see that. So that is a compass with my kids' initials. Catherine Taylor, my true north. She's my oldest daughter. Anna Marie, she's my West Coast girl, going to be a star, a very talented singer. Kaylin Brooke, my East Coast girl, very driven. And Jameson Paul, my son, who is my southern boy, who kind of likes the aisles and
Gotcha.
very laid back and
Super laid back
and kind of chill.
You got a super laid back side of you also. I see the professional side. Yeah, I see the professional side a lot. But I got a chance. I think we spent more time with each other this past weekend than we ever have. And I think I got to see another side of Paul. I got to see the more laid back side of Paul. Right. Although you were definitely in like that let's get it done
Race mode.
That race mode for sure. But I think at one point I got to see you a little more relaxed, a little more laid back, and it's a good blend. It's a really good blend. So and the other tattoos probably not.
Well, this one, that's on the chest.
Yeah, that's always a good one.
That's a verse from a song.
It's a verse from a song. It's not Baby got back, nothing like that.
It is not that.
That would be a good verse to have tattooed on.
No, it's there's a band called the Avett Brothers.
Okay.
And they sing a song called "Murder in the City," which is a weird name for the song, but the last verse in the song says, "Always remember there was nothing worth sharing like the love that let us share our name." It's about family.
It's good.
And
Good.
when my mom died, I got that tattoo. One of my favorite verses, so I got that tattoo.
I get it, man. I get it. When my mom died, I wish I had something that I could tattoo, but I mean, her memories are tattooed in my head forever.
Sure.
So yeah, I get it. I get it.
Should we tell everybody where we were if they don't know?
Yeah. So this weekend that just passed, went to do the Appalachian Journey gravel race. It started off as we were going to do the duo, and it was a crazy weekend as far as weather-wise. I had been nursing a pinched nerve in my neck for about a week and a half prior, and got out there and I said, look, I'm just going to go out and hope that I can get some done. I did a couple what I would call like test hits as far as short rides, and it wasn't looking good. I said, look, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to take, I think we put every over-the-counter drug that I could take. I had.
We hit CVS pretty hard.
Yeah, it looked crazy. So I was on everything. I had multiple heating pads going, everything.
Lidocaine spray, Aleve, Motrin, ibuprofen. There's a lot of.
Yeah. I took it all. I said, give it to me. Let's try it. So I got about 2 miles in before I realized that it's not going to happen. It was raining ridiculously hard. The winds were up to 50 miles an hour. And there was I was getting dropped on the first climb by everybody. I couldn't hold 100 watts. So
You couldn't hold on to your bars.
I couldn't hold on to my bars. I couldn't pull up. I couldn't do anything. So
Not a deficit you want to have in a gravel race. But
not a deficit you want to have. So the weather was so bad they actually shortened the course from 110 miles. Excuse me, from 110 miles to 82. So I dropped out. Since it's a duo and Paul and I had to stay within 5 minutes of each other, Paul was automatically disqualified. So he pushed forward anyway, just to see where he would have come out at the end if possibly I could have held on. I was training for this event since January, and I was putting in a lot of time. And I apologize again. I know I've apologized to you. Some type of thing. Getting old kind of sucks. The worst part is,
are we getting old?
We're getting better, but getting old does suck. Yes. I'm not saying that we are.
We're not getting old.
Right.
Other people who are getting old.
It sucks for them.
Sucks for them.
That's right. So
because I'm in denial. Just so
right. That's all right. I'll be in that same boat with you. So I actually got a pinched nerve by sitting up in bed reading my son a book.
What was the book?
I don't even know. I don't even know. That's a great question. Either I may just be saying I was reading him a book and we may have been on my phone.
Yeah.
But either way, I think we were like sitting in bed and he was kind of laying on me and we were either reading a book or whatever. But I got a hot streak in my neck, and that's when I got the pinched nerve. And again, whether we're in denial or not, that kind of thing happens with age and getting older for the other people. Not to us, other people. Other people it happens to, not us. So Paul goes on in the race, and I went back to our camp, and I ended up getting in my car and going out and trying to find Paul so I can film some of the race for you. And at first, they were going so fast down the gravel roads that if I took the main roads, which, they were basically cutting through the town or the Floyd, Virginia, they were cutting through the mountains while I had to go all the way around the mountains to get to the other side. They were going so fast at one point, I couldn't catch you guys. I went to one spot I thought you would be. You had already gone through. I asked the police officer who was standing in the road. It's like, they're already gone. So I jumped to the next spot, which was, I think, maybe the first aid station, the big aid station. You guys were already gone. So I decided at that point, I was like, the only way I'm going to be able to truly catch you, and they told me that there were only 15 people ahead. At that point, there was like, you were top 15 for sure, because they said there was only about 15 people ahead. So at that point, I decided to drive down the gravel roads in my Audi, my little Audi, which I figured it's all-wheel drive. It's like a little rally car, so let's just have fun with it. So I ended up catching up with you, and got some good. Go to our YouTube channel. There's I did an edit on that when I finally caught up to him. If you want to go there and check it out, it's pretty cool. I think, even though I did the edit work, but
It's cool.
it's pretty cool.
It's cool.
So at the beginning of the edit, we were in a bar, and while we were in that bar, we were kind of talking about, like, things that you do. And that's, I don't know. Yeah, that was when, right before that is when I said you look like a school teacher. Mm-hmm. But also found out
high school math
teacher. I also found out that you play in a band. That you played in a band.
I'm a recovering band guy. Yeah.
And
I'm recovering a lot of things.
I've just never seen you really get in. I mean, I've seen you maybe sing along a little bit while we're in the car or whatever else. But I mean, you can carry a tune.
Thank you.
I can't. I'm like the worst singer next to my older sister Tiffany. I'm the worst singer there is. I think she's number one, and I come a close second. But so your wife sent me a clip of you playing a guitar, and with one of your friends or bandmates, and you guys sounded really good, man. I don't want to again. I gotta when I talk to someone like you, I always feel like if I say the wrong thing, it could come across as like, well, what, you didn't think I was going to sound good? Like, what's up? You know what I mean? And because you play these mind games with me, and I'm like, I don't know if what I'm saying is the right thing to say, but
can I tell you something?
What's that?
This is something somebody said to me, right? We were all standing around, this is years ago, with a bunch of people, right? And like, yeah, Paul, man, Paul gives, I've heard him talking with him. Paul gives everybody a hard time. Like, he gives everybody a hard time. And somebody said, Paul only teases the people he really loves.
There you go. Okay,
And
so I get
other
teased a
guy
lot.
this other guy says, he doesn't tease me. And they all looked at him. And then I walked up, and because I didn't like that guy at all. I don't tease people I don't like. I only tease people.
Good. Yeah. That means. Well,
so
we already.
You call it a mind game, but I'm just telling you.
Yeah. All right. It's teasing. It's teasing because you love me. It's all right. I love you too, man. I have a lot of love for you. Good. So now that awkward moment is out of the way. So yeah, you were playing. And I was like, damn, he plays pretty good. I mean, you can't judge a book by the cover. Everybody says that.
Are you saying I don't look like I played in a band ever? Because I look like a high school math teacher and they don't play in bands?
No, high school math teachers definitely play in bands. But no, it's not that. It's just that, like I said, a lot of times when we're interacting, we're either on the bike or you're coming in from a meeting and you could tell you were in that professional side of you was coming out. So I don't always get to see that super. Like I said, this was the first weekend in multiple years that you and I have actually spent the weekend together riding and around each other with family and stuff. So I don't get to see that side of you that often.
It's true.
And now that I've seen it, it's pretty cool. It's really cool. I mean, Ed Sauls. Ed was on our podcast a couple weeks ago. Ed plays the guitar and sings, and you would never believe what what the style of music Ed likes. It's like the craziest thing, right? So you can't judge a book by the cover at all. But so you play, you're a musician, singer. Mm-hmm. You're a cook.
Yeah.
I found this out about you also.
It's true. So I started working when I was very young in the restaurant field, and I learned to cook. In fact, if you're a fan of any like restaurant or these these games that are restaurant games or Iron Chef, whatever, Amanda Freitag and she's often the judge on Chopped, and she's on the Iron Chef. She and I and Justin actually is her brother, who's my first bandmate. We all grew up together. We all grew up in the restaurant industry, and I ended up after I got out of the military, I went and worked on Capitol Hill. I ran the Hyatt 3-meal restaurant and ran it, and then learned to be the sous chef.
That's cool. That's cool. So we have psychologists. Right. Well,
yeah, I think just to define that, do you want to know a little bit about that?
I do want to know.
Yeah.
So I can stop lying. So I can stop telling people the wrong shit. I'd rather be able to tell people the right stuff. So I need to know a little bit.
So
about
in the field of psychology, there's a Freudian based and a behavioral based. And I'm making this very simple, but there's much more.
Please make it simple.
I'm making it simple. And so Freudian based psychology delves into feelings and relationships and your growing up and how that formed you. And the behavioral side just looks at behavior and what happens before the antecedent and the consequence. Now, I was trained as a Freudian guy, but I'm a behaviorist. I analyze patterns.
Yeah.
So
yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes, he does.
So I'm a data guy. So I just look at numbers.
Yes, he is.
I look at numbers all for most of my job, and I help families they usually have a child with special needs, and sometimes the school system is not meeting their needs. Other times I'm teaching. I've taught at the University of Maryland, and then other times I might be testifying in a hearing to help a family, or I might be doing a training in the school system. But I look at patterns. That's what I do. I believe people behave in patterns, and you come down, you get your cup of coffee, you walk the dog. Like people do the same thing over and over.
I also believe that children are our future, and you should teach them right and help them lead the way. That's what.
Look at you.
Yeah, it's a little quote from a little Whitney Houston.
Bringing Whitney into the conversation. Are you going to sing any Whitney Houston for us?
Definitely not singing any Whitney Houston.
but I will always.
So if you had to cook one meal for someone, if you had to cook one meal for someone to show them how good you are as a chef, what would it be?
I would cook them French food, probably piccata meal. So capers, lemons. I like French food. I like sauces. I like to make sauces.
Okay.
So I might do like a veal or a chicken piccata. I also do a fish piccata. That's pretty good too.
Right.
You're not a meat eater.
I eat food, whatever it is. If it's good.
Me too.
So now I know exactly what to ask for when I'm like, hey Paul, how about hooking us with that chicken piccata?
Yeah. And my mom was a good cook. So she grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and in the tenements where all the ethnic neighborhoods used to be. So she would go down to this woman underneath her who lived underneath her and always like talk her way into Sunday meal. And she was from Sicily. This woman was from Sicily. Wow. And then the woman decided instead of hosting my mom every Sunday night, because in Jersey we have what's called Sunday gravy. So we make people call it sauce here, but we called it gravy because we make gravy on Sundays and it's used for the rest of the week.
And Jersey is a city north of us that's only about 3 hours away, but they have a completely different language than we do.
This is true.
They do everything different than Baltimore people. This is true. We do things different in Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore has its ethnic neighborhoods, but yeah,
they do, but it's a little different.
Yeah, so the woman taught her to cook instead of hosting her for Sunday. So
That's pretty cool.
She's a pretty good cook. So we made homemade. You would never like sauce in a jar is like a really taboo in my household. You just don't.
Oh yeah.
You just don't do that.
New York City. Yeah. So So, all right. So we know the food that if you had to sing a song to someone, if you had to play something to show people, to showcase your talents, what would you be playing?
Well, I was in a lot of bands, so we did a lot of different covers. But I would probably do a Damien Rice song.
Okay.
So a little bit dark, a little bit acoustic, kind of like.
I like it.
I think the one that was sent to you was a Ryan Adams song, I believe, and that actually was my last guitarist. Michael DiCarlo is his name, and he was. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about bands. If you're a singer-songwriter in a band, which is what I was,
right,
you usually have somebody who can really play guitar. Like I can play guitar, I play rhythm guitar, but I don't really play guitar. Like Michael plays guitar. Like he was a session musician in Nashville. Like except for lead guitarists are notoriously, not all of them, but if you're really talented, they're notoriously unreliable. Like I would have a gig, Michael and I would be playing out in Fairfax, Virginia, and he would not show up. He would literally not show up for the gig.
Your lead guitarist didn't show up.
Like, where's
That's
Michael?
like,
oh, I can't make it, Paul. I'm sorry.
It's like the quarterback not showing up.
We're going on in like 5 minutes. No.
Not good.
No, because he would call me the quarterback, and
Right.
He's the center. He gets me the ball.
Yeah, still
the
not
same
good.
thing.
Still not good.
Yeah,
Can't do it without the other ones.
So yeah, I ended up learning to play guitar because I had a bunch of lead guitarists who were very talented, but they're just unreliable.
So I know that you, throughout all this, I know that you started riding kind of in racing. You definitely raced in college.
Yeah.
So I assumed before I knew that, I thought you were kind of new to the riding game within like the last like 4 or 5 years.
Well, you want to know the story?
Sure.
I don't know if we talked about it.
I think we all need to know the story.
So,
Inquiring minds want to know.
I raced in college. I had a yellow Schwinn. And we were down at Tech, and it was like 5 to 7 guys, and we all lived we were all at Virginia Tech. You're in the Corps Cadets, so you're in college, but you're dressing like a military guy all day long. So there was 7 of us in the military who were going to be officers who were riding bikes and racing them. So we would do these group rides, and we got faster and faster. And I think I told the story the last time I first raced. Like we ended up lapping the field with the other guy. The other guy put his head down. I ran right into his tire, and I crashed the bike.
Before you finished the race.
Before I finished.
But you were on the podium.
Well, at least I would have been second.
Yeah,
we lapped.
You were on the podium.
But no, I did not finish DNF. And then so I took it to the bike shop. I did not have a good mechanic at that point in time.
Right.
Which is very important.
It's very important.
Because I'm pretty hard on bikes.
He is pretty hard on bikes.
So then $300. And I'm a college guy, so $300
$300
was a lot of money. I think I bent the fork. I needed a new fork, whatever. So we got that. And then I ended up doing well in a couple races and capped up pretty fast. Then I got with the fast guys, and I got another wreck and bent my frame. And that was it. I was out. I was like, I can't afford to fix it, so I was only on 1 bike. Now you know why I'm so nervous about bikes, right?
Fast forward.
So then I get out of biking, do the military, whatever. And then I ended up teaching golf at the University of Maryland for a while. So yeah. So
you just don't hold on. You just don't get out of the military and the next day start teaching golf. So you were also into golf, obviously.
So I played golf in high school.
All right.
I played a little bit in college, and then I gave it up. I hated it.
And then you started playing a lot, obviously.
I gave it up, and then we have family that all works at Pinehurst, which is like the center of the golfing universe on the East Coast of North Carolina. Like the head guy, the head hotel guy, like this is my family, right? Paul, play golf with us. Paul, play golf with us. Like, no, I played golf. Like, you did. Like, yeah, like it's not like I got a 6 when I broke a club. I was really like it was not fun anymore. And so like, oh, come on. So then they talked me into it, and I'm like, look, like I don't just play golf. Like I want to shoot a specific round.
Right.
So then,
because you're hashtag no chill. You're Captain Competitive.
and golf was worse than cycling. Just so you know, because I was not like literally I could double bogey and it would ruin my day, which is ridiculous.
No, I get it.
It would be
I get
ridiculous.
Anybody that's really competitive in any sport totally understands exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so then I went to, I was teaching at the University of Maryland. So now the family wants me to play. I'm like, okay, I've got to practice. So before I taught, I was teaching in graduate school. So it was I was teaching at night. I would go to the driving range at the University of Maryland and practice. And then Jeff Maynor is the pro there. He's the head pro, and he started talking to me one day. He's like, "Hey, you got a pretty good swing. Like, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know." I told him the story. He's like, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You teach in the special ed department?" I said, "Yeah. It looks like to me you run the summer program, and but you don't have any kids with special needs in your summer program." And he said to me, "Looks like you never volunteered to help us." And so, next thing you know, Paul gets the job of junior golf program coordinator, and then I'm teaching. So now so then we went from, he had like 4 weeks of 10 kids. So we took that program from 4 weeks to 40 kids. We took it to 260 kids each summer. So
wow.
We would have groups of 20, and I would have the college golf team, the kids from I call them kids, but they were the college golf team. Mm-hmm. They would play they would take us out. And then we would have this really competitive round with the kids playing a scramble, which is a specific format. And then me and the college golfers would go out and play golf for money after the kids went home from camp. That was my life.
Wow.
So I was spending like from 7 a.m. to about 7:30 p.m. on the golf course
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
Something else I didn't know
people
about
wanted lessons, so I started doing lessons, yada, yada.
Like I said, in a former podcast, I used to say that Paul is the guy, the guru who sits on top of a mountain, Indian style, waiting for people to climb the thousands of steps to get to him to ask him one question. Only one question. And I mean, he's gone through, you know, I think right now we're at like 5 or 6 different type career paths that you could have taken.
I still haven't figured it out.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I think that's cool. So now you're you're back into cycling.
Yeah. So I have a genetic disorder. You don't know this either. And so I have what's called intentional tremors, which means, and it's, my dad has it, my daughter has it, my family members have it. So the more I try to concentrate on a really specific fine motor skill, the more tremor I get in my hand. Like my dad at this point, like he can't even eat with a spoon.
Oh yeah, I have a friend named Gary who does that. We call him shakes.
Exactly. So
yeah. Yeah.
So
I
have, which by the way makes putting really, really hard to do.
I don't know how this dude could thread a needle, and I don't even understand how he does it. If you look at him, he couldn't hold a camera still for anything, but he can do some intricate, detailed work while shaking. And I guess he makes both hands shake at the same rhythm.
Yeah.
And it just works.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to watch. But I'm amazed at a lot of things that the human body can do. I'm amazed at, like, we have Matt Gilman who's here, who amazes me almost on a daily basis, right? So
I'm bringing him my wheels tomorrow because he's my wheel guy.
He's everybody's wheel guy. There's not a lot of people. I don't let people mess with my bike. I mess with my own bikes. Yeah. And Matt's one of the few people that, in shakes, Gary and Matt are like some of the few people that I will let pack my parachute.
Oh wow!
You know,
yeah,
so
that says something.
Yeah, it says a lot. So you have tremor. It's called tremor disorder.
It's called intentional tremors. Actually.
Intentional. So that means you're doing that shit on purpose.
Now it means the more you focus on it,
right,
the more intent you give it, the worse the tremor is.
Wow, I had no idea.
And it gets worse with age.
Wow, but we're young.
But we're young. We're not getting old. So then when you shoot 68 and you can no longer shoot 68,
right?
Golf becomes that, like, it made me angry again. So then I'm like, you know what? I just want to ride my bike again. Like, that's what I wanted to do. And so then I got a Surly Troll. Took it around. I was going to be a bike packer.
Were you living in the city?
I was living in the city.
So the Shirley Troll is actually a good bike. It's a good city bike.
It's a great anything bike.
Yeah,
you can bike pack on. It's not light, but it's a great.
No, it's not light.
It's not light. But I was going to go bike packing, and then I did a ride, and I did like a ride at like 14 miles an hour. Oh, like that's pretty cool. And then I'm like, well, maybe I want to go 15 miles an hour, 16. Well, maybe I need a different bike to go a little bit faster. And then I did that, and then I ended up doing. They're like, maybe I'll race again, and I did the Route 1 Rampage.
Route 1 Rampage.
Yeah, which is down in College Park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a crit that they hold in College Park. That
yes,
it's notoriously sketchy.
It's notoriously sketchy, and I did that
Yes.
race, and I did all right. I think I got like 8th or 9th. But I think Chris Beck was there, and I think he lapped the field with another guy. So
That sounds about right.
but anyway, so and there I met the Artemis guys, and they recruited me to the team, and then next thing you know, I want to go faster.
There's a picture that I saw this week of a choose my word wisely, of a more stout Paul Livelli with an Artemis vest on, and you look different for sure.
I weigh 204 pounds.
Damn, 200-pound club.
I was.
So you should be more sympathetic when it comes to me riding uphills and understanding what I have to go through to get up a hill.
Yeah.
At 205 pounds.
I don't weigh 204 pounds
I
anymore.
do.
I think we should get rid of those Thanksgiving turkeys instead of carrying them up hills.
I hate carrying Thanksgiving turkeys uphill, but I think at the lightest that I can possibly get right now is probably 180 before I start to actually go the other direction.
Yeah.
I start to lose too much power. I start to lose this and that. So I still have 1.5 Thanksgiving turkeys that I can get rid of.
Yep.
A big butterball.
This is what I find, and this is not a rule for everybody, but I find the less Thanksgiving turkeys you carry on your bike, the faster you go.
Yeah, there's a couple rules cycling rules that Paul Livelli implements and likes to share with me quite often.
Yeah.
One is that I'm faster on his wheel.
Right.
So he'll literally, as I'm starting to pull off, he'll point to his back wheel and tell me it's faster there. If I only have 250 watts to give to get there, sometimes I just can't make it.
It is faster.
It is definitely faster. Not just on your wheel, on anybody's wheel.
Correct, yes.
Probably one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of the new cyclists that are getting into racing. The biggest mistakes that I see is that they just refuse to get on someone's wheel. I don't know if they trust it. I don't know what's going on. But it is 100% a lot faster. Your race will be a lot easier if you just get on that wheel and you stay there.
Now, the numbers say you're doing 80% of the work for the guy in front of you, typically. Sometimes less.
That's great. Yeah, I heard 30% less. Yeah, that's up to 30% less. That's a lot. That's a big number. It's a big number. So now you're racing for Artemis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell them the story about the first time that I saw you at a Velo City ride. This is the beginning of Paul and our relationship. All right, so I'm bad when it comes to riding in groups and having to listen to bikes that aren't shifting right, brakes that are squealing, rattles and tings and bangs and things like that.
That's an understatement.
Like I almost to the point where I can't do it because I start to focus on that one aspect of the ride, the guy's rotor who's rubbing right next to me. I'm like hypersensitive about it, and I just want to fix it, or at least tell him your rotor's rubbing. Some people don't like that type of criticism, especially if they don't know who you are. I think that's the big thing. If you don't know, if I don't know a person, I probably should introduce myself, let them know where I'm coming from before I say, you have an ugly child, right? And it's nice. It's because that's to some people. What you're saying. To some people, that's what I'm telling them when their beloved bike is running like crap.
That was a blue Ridley from Performance Bike.
So Paul shows up on this ride, and he has his rear derailleur was slightly off, and the derailleur hanger was slightly bent to the point where I could see it while we were riding down the road. And I think
ironically, he's actually on my wheel at this ride.
Yeah. So at that point in time, I was one of the faster guys at Velo, and this new guy had showed up, and he's pushing the pace. We're with the A group. He's pushing the pace pretty damn good, and we went out to the Laurel area, similar to the ride that we just did a couple weeks ago. We went out to Laurel, and we were coming back. We were on WB&A coming back, and I finally said, "You know what? Let me tell him. I think, hey, there's something wrong with your derailleur. I think your hanger's bent or something." And he just kind of blew me off and kept riding. And I kind of figured that was the end of it. And later on, we became friends. We started riding and stuff like that. And he was like, "I'll tell you about the first time that you met me and you called me out with my derailleur." He goes, "I was thinking, who the hell is this guy talking to me about my
sweating out of his helmet, sucking my wheel, telling me how to ride my bike." That's what
for sure. And I get it, man. I mean, like, I don't want to be like I'm too good for it, because trust me, my bikes are far from perfect. But what I have to do as far as promoting the shop and things like that is my bikes can't make noises. They have to shift right. There's certain things that I have to do, to kind of promote what we do in here in the shop. And me going out and not having my bike shift properly, having my bike squeaking and making noises is not the right look. Back in the day, I used to ride some crazy stuff and really didn't care about it. I'm still working on my attire. I'm still known to rock some older stuff.
We were supposed to burn those. We did not burn them.
We did not burn them. I brought some stuff to the camp this weekend so I can retire them. And the way that I was going to retire them was actually burn them in the campfire, so I'd never use them again. We're talking some shorts that kind of reveal a little too much from the backside. If you're riding behind me, you may have met me in ways that you shouldn't have met me. But if you were ever behind me and you've seen my backside through my shorts, I apologize. That I know better now. I should have known better before, and now I know better.
See, you can tell me my derailleur's bent. I can tell you.
That's right.
I can see your butt crack. That's right. Through your
don't ever wear those shorts again. I can see your butt crack through your shorts. Don't ever do that again. So I was going to burn those shorts this weekend.
Yeah. I need to get them so I can make that happen.
Yeah. We'll definitely get rid of those shorts. But so now you're riding. Now you're racing. When was the first time that you raced and you won?
Cyclocross. Oh, from now, not back years ago.
Yeah.
Cyclocross.
Cyclocross.
Yeah, so I did Charm City. I think was my first race, Cat 5. It was like 80 guys in the race or something like that. And it was back then. It was when you registered is where your startup spot was.
Uh-huh.
So I registered early and I finished second the first day. And I went down behind this guy. He was a good rider. And I went down behind him. I was so pissed off. And I won the second day. And I was all in cyclocross, which is kind of why I gravitated to Sportif, because in cyclocross you need a team. Like you really need a team.
But why do you need a team in cyclocross? I would think crit racing and road racing you need a team. Cyclocross is kind of that one-on-one.
It's about somebody being in your pit. It's about mechanical stuff that gets fixed during a race. It's tires. It's pressure. There's just so much more that goes into it. And don't get me wrong. Crit racing is team.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a team in this area that does it right.
Oh, I agree.
No,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Like, I mean, I'm addicted to watching.
Nation's #1 beast.
Yeah. That I'm addicted to watching just NorCal cycling and races out of California, Southern California races. You get on NorCal cycling on YouTube, and you watch a handful of races, and you'll realize that at our level that we see here in our area, you're right. No one's doing it right. No one's doing it right.
NCVC comes close sometimes, but the bottom line is if you're in a crit race, before the race starts, you pick out one, maybe two guys who are going to win that race, and everybody else says, okay, I'm not going to win. That's not how it works. Everybody's going for the line here. Like, it's like,
oh yeah. There's no. I was talking to a guy named Mike about the same thing, and I said the same to him. I was like, look, it's a very selfish sport, right?
yeah.
Like you're going to work. You know, you're going into this race not to win and not to even finish most of the time.
Correct.
Right? You're going to race this race all the way up until the last lap.
Yeah.
You're going to give me 110% of your effort for that one moment to get me closer to the finish line.
You're going to give 110% for 4 minutes if you're the third to last guy.
Right.
And then you're going to go out and you're going to lose 30 spots. If you
Yeah,
finish, it doesn't even
if,
make a
yeah,
difference.
if you, at that point, it doesn't make a difference. You might as well pull off.
It might as well,
right?
You've done your job.
So you've done your job, exactly. And you're doing a job that you're not getting paid for.
Correct.
You're doing a job that you're not gonna be on the podium.
You paid to be there to do it.
You paid to be there. That's
You paid your registration
you paid to be there.
plus your Mabra fee, plus all that stuff.
Yeah. But it's a very selfish sport to do it the right way.
Yeah.
So it's hard to convince a guy that's paid his Mabra fees, he's paid his entry fees, he's worked all year on this and that, and he's trained really hard. That's a hard sell for me to say, yeah, dude, I know you've done all that shit, but guess what? Today's my day.
It's not,
right?
It doesn't happen.
And it doesn't really happen out here. And I see it in amateur racing because it's about the team there, where it's about the individual here.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So, it's a crazy sport that I've seen. And that's why, because I'm not really good with team sports, that's why I've always done, like, I've wrestled, I've done jiu-jitsu, I've done these things that I don't have to really worry about other people. Mountain bike races. It is what it is, right? It's you against the clock, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? We're going to, so that's how I picture cross racing, and that's how I race cross, because I was never at the level that you are at cross. The handful of cross races that I've done, I've never used a pit. You know what I mean? I've never had to use a pit. It's always been good weather because I'm not going out in the rain.
At Nationals, I think I probably pitted 3 or 4 times.
I've pit for Paul before. Paul yelled at me.
It was a kind yell, though.
After the first handoff, I did it right, and I almost looked pro a couple of times.
Yeah,
so
after the first one, yeah.
After the first one, I was on the wrong side. It was all kinds of stuff. It was a lot of chaos going on. But I think did you win that race?
Yeah.
Yep. You still won it. I like to believe it was mostly because of me and my pit skills after the first handoff. The rest of them were killed it. But so now you're racing cross. So you also raced mountain bikes, and that's where you came into where you were mountain bike racing at a pretty good level. So you stayed in category.
Look, I didn't know. They said you can start at category 3. I'm like, I don't think that's fair. So I started in category 2, and then I did the mass series, and I won the first 6 races, and they were all bent out of shape. I'm like, well, what do? You can't cat up because you're in a series.
Right. You got to. I try to explain that. So it's so funny because one of the squeakiest.
Now, mind you, I'd never mountain bike raced before. Do you know? I mountain bike, but I actually never did. So I didn't know I was going to win 6 races. I didn't know that stuff.
Yeah, after riding with you, I kind of came on to mountain biking with you kind of in the middle of all that. After riding with you, I kind of knew you were going to win the rest of your races that you were in that category.
Yeah.
Right? I just knew it. I'm like, shit, I can hardly hold on to your wheel, and you're faster climber than I am, and I could, in good shape, could possibly win a Cat 2 in that class, right?
Well,
and I'm like,
your downhill skills are far and away above anybody I ride with, quite frankly.
But you can't win a race on that.
No.
I can close a gap.
You could win a lot of
yeah,
enduro races.
I can close a gap in certain things, but I can't win a race like that. I knew that you were at a different level. But to stay in that class is where I think is exactly what you should have done. Never mind all the other people because the problem is the margin of victory that you had, right? It wasn't that you were winning, but once you start a class, again, what are you going to do? Give up all the points that you had for that? Especially if you were going to plan on doing any kind of national race, right? You're not all of a sudden going to just cat up in the middle of a season and say, forget all the points I have going towards this national title that you could have possibly won. You know what I mean? And this is local racing on a national level in the same category. I think you were exactly where you should have been.
Probably, yeah, at that point.
You know, so most of the people that would complain about you being in the race and not belonging in that race, why isn't he racing Cat 1, or why isn't he racing Elite or whatever else? Most of the people that were complaining were the people that, if you weren't there, may have been on the podium. You might have knocked one or two down off the podium. But they have to understand that the reason that you were doing what you were doing was a bigger picture, right? You weren't you weren't trying to just win locally. You were on a national level. Your mindset was national.
That's my goal. I want to win a national title. It's not a secret. I've told other people that's not a secret.
Yeah, I want you to win a national.
Yeah, so I don't know what event it'll be in, but I do want.
I mean, I think out of the things, the disciplines that I've seen you do, if we're talking, obviously it's going to be age, right? Because although we like to not admit
it would be in my age category.
Yeah, we don't like to admit that we're getting older. We want to at least be on the same. Right, we want to be on the same. We don't want to handicap ourselves, right? So, I think you have the ability to win it in cross country. I know you have the ability to win it in cross. It would be those two disciplines for sure. Again, anything else you're gonna need a team to do it.
Yeah, or win a crit on a breakaway. One of the
right.
Yeah.
But to win a national crit on a breakaway,
everything has got to go right. Yeah, you got to get in the right group of people.
You're going to still need a team.
Yeah,
because there's going to be people that chase you down every single time.
Yeah.
So I think winning a national is definitely a goal. So if you had, when do you want to win it from in the next? Are you giving yourself the next 2 years, 3 years, or are you even giving yourself a time frame?
I base those decisions on where I am in the age category, and then where the race is. Quite frankly, as crazy as that sounds. So if cross nationals are on the East Coast or Central. Like that's probably my cyclocross nationals. That's probably my target. If XC is going to be on the East Coast, and I know this year it is, but I didn't know it was going to happen, and I'm priming for cyclocross this year, so I'm probably not going to do XC nationals in Pennsylvania. So I wanted to do a gravel scene to build up a really good base because I notoriously peak in October instead of December. So I'm trying to push my peak back by doing a little bit longer base, which gravel lent itself to. But I think if Bear Creek next year happens again for XC Nationals, it'll probably be my A race. And it's hard in training to have two targets to peak at the same. It's very hard to do. Peaking is
I know. I mean,
peaking is the hardest thing to do.
It's like any other sport. I mean, you have although cycling, and every discipline has its season, basically, right? So I mean, you'll have mountain biking and you'll have road racing going in during the same season. But and I guess not every discipline has the same season. Cross is the anomaly that has it's off kilter, right? So cross is generally during people that aren't into cycling. Cross is generally a winter sport, and it shows right here in the States. Here, it's a winter sport. I mean, it
starts in Go Cross in Roanoke starts in September, but typically Cross is like a fall, winter. And in Belgium, it's a winter. It's more of a winter. They start a little bit later.
Right.
So
Cross is one of those few sports. If you can have a rain out in mountain biking, you can have a rain out in road racing. You can have races be called. I mean, if there's not a tornado touching down in front of a cross race, it's going to happen. Yeah. It could be snowing. It could be blizzards.
It's a celebration. Actually, a rain out is a celebration.
Yeah. Cross race. It's the craziest thing. They race no matter what conditions. It could be -5 degrees outside and snow coming down. It doesn't matter. The course could be completely iced over, and they will break out ice skates, and they're going to do this cross event. It's the craziest thing ever. They will race with studded tires. Are studded tires legal? I'm not even sure if they're legal. I don't think they are. But they would just slip all over the place. And I've seen it. I've seen them. The fastest route down a hill is just to sit on your butt and slide down the hill with your bike. And they race in these conditions all the time. So, and another reason why I'm a fair weather cross rider, the conditions would have to be perfect. I would have to be in good enough shape to do it. And it's a super fun thing to do. I mean, your bike handling skills will help you out a ton. If you're not if you're not a roadie in really good roadie type shape, you can be a mountain biker and come out and do well on the lower levels just by having good bike handling skills. 100%. Yeah. So we have cross. So you have, what's your favorite bike right now? One bike. You gotta get. Your wife is like, that's it. All the bikes have to go except for one.
That was just yesterday. I don't know. I'm loving gravel racing. I'm loving it a lot. So
gravel is crazy, man. It's like,
I do like that diverge.
I'd say about 80 to 90% of the conversations that come into the shop right now are gravel based. I mean, everybody's gravel.
I love the fact that like USA Cycling hasn't corrupted it yet. It's not like it's inclusive. It's like a cross race. And that's the thing about cyclocross. Like, if you want to get into racing, I always say try cyclocross, because it's not like there's a lot of ego on the road scene. Let's be honest,
for sure.
And you've got, like, if you want to win a race or finish last, and everybody loves you both the same, equally the same. That's cyclocross.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you're right. Now, being at the finish line of the gravel event that you did, there were different lengths for the gravel riding. There was, I forgot what they called them. What was the long doggy?
Long doggy, something like that.
Yeah, and then there was like a 60 miler, a 30 miler, and I think there might have been even one that was one smaller. But people that were coming in from the shorter one, there was a guy who came in that was easily, I'd say 350 plus pounds, in the middle of Floyd, Virginia. And he probably got one of the biggest rounds of applause
he did
out of anybody. And it was like one of those things where we just know that it's not easy to do. You know what I mean? Again, I complain about being 200 pounds going up the hill. Imagine me carrying another 150 pounds on my back up that hill. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those things where you come through the finish line and people applaud you for just your effort. You know what I mean? Whether you're first, second, third, or whatever else. Jeremiah and Dave Weaver came through, and they didn't get as big of an applause as the guy, because people appreciate his effort. They know what he had to go through to get that done. Right. And it's a different kind of event, like you said. It's still in its heyday. It's still now, right? There's no history behind it. The most history they have about gravel is only like 6 years old, 7 years old, right? It's so early in its beginnings that, like you said, it's raw right now.
Yeah.
They're just starting to implement some rules that are kind of like, you can't do this, you can't do that. But yeah, it's crazy.
So the Diverge right now.
The Diverge would be your
favorite
bike. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a nice bike. I just fixed it all up for you.
Thank you.
Took care. So again, if you watch my edit that I did on YouTube. Oh yeah, by the way, if you go to YouTube, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up, and also a like. Subscribe, like, thumbs up.
Thumbs up to like.
What else is it?
Like and subscribe. Yeah.
Like and subscribe. There you go. Now we're officially YouTubers now when we say that kind of shit.
We're old.
Well,
old math teaching. Looking you.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, we're just having fun with it. So the Diverge would be your bike to have right now.
But I love my tarmac too. I mean, you're really hurting me trying to say one bike. That's like
oh yeah.
I mean that tarmac that we built up together is the first like really high end bike. Even though we didn't pay a high end price for it.
No.
We did.
No. I mean, but it's a nice bike.
It's a
nice bike. It's not the highest end of anything, but it's a really nice bike.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you have your Diverge. If you could pick any place to go ride, where would it be?
I'd like to go to Iceland and ride gravel in Iceland.
I don't know enough about Iceland.
My feed must know because it keeps throwing me stuff on my Facebook and Instagram. Like it wants me to go to Iceland.
Iceland is so funny. I always think of Iceland and Greenland, right? So Greenland is full of ice and Iceland is full of green. I'm sorry. It's just something that's how I remember things, right?
We can edit that out.
It's weird, right? but it's the truth.
It's
so
true,
yes. Greenland has ice caps and things like that, while Iceland is nice like rolling valleys and hills. And
I think basically Iceland has one road that goes around it.
Yeah. And
everything in between is gravel.
Yeah.
Which is
that's crazy.
And you got volcanoes and geysers and stuff like that. Like so, yeah. If
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Are you in?
I'm 100% in. I am 100%.
We can bike pack it on our gravel.
I'm 100% in. And
your Crux will carry a lot.
Yeah, my Crux will not carry a lot, but I have a teammate that carries a lot of stuff.
That's true. That's a true story.
So we're about to wrap it up. Now we know a little more about Paul Livelli, Dr. Paul Livelli.
It's only doctor to you.
It's only doctor to me. When we explain to him why though.
Because you call me Mr. Livelli. Like you call me Paul, but you can't call me Mr. Livelli.
I call him and say, "How's it going, Mr. Livelli?" And he calls me. He says it's doctor to you, because he says Mr. Livelli was his dad.
That is my dad.
Right. So okay, I get it. So we know a lot about Dr. Livelli now. We know that he's a golfer. He's a cyclist. He's a dad. He has tattoos. Oh, do you have a toe ring?
I do not have a toe. Not against toe rings, but
yeah. So someone asked on the Instagram, one of the questions they wanted to ask is, I heard that he has a toe ring. I don't know where that came from, but it was damn funny.
I do not have a toe ring.
He does not have a toe ring. So,
and Paul asked, do I ever bring a gravel bike to a road group ride?
Yes, he does. He does bring gravel. I can judge how hard Paul is about. If he thinks the ride is hard, he's going to go hard regardless because he has absolutely no chill. # no chill, Paul. But if he thinks the ride's going to be hard, he's going to have his tarmac. If he doesn't think the ride's going to be hard, he'll handicap himself and he'll have his gravel bike. That's how you can tell if the ride's about to really get heated or not.
I just do my workout. That's what I do in a group ride.
So
black and tan.
0.0075% fat. I will be editing this down and highlighting it and everything on our YouTube channel.
Please put a comment that Donald should shave his legs on our YouTube channel.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. That's 0.0076% faster.
Yeah. All right, guys. You guys have a great night. Thanks, Paul, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for the question.
All right, man.
Bye.
Don't bother with all my belongings, but pay attention to the list. Make sure my sister knows I loved her. Make sure my mother knows the same. Always remember there was nothing worth sharing like the love that let us share our name.